Our latest big conversation, member of Team USA Olympian, Stanford water polo, Jenna Flynn is here. Jenna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Greg?
Doing okay, doing okay. Always good to talk with you. Legacy Crown this weekend. Let's start there. Big opportunity for your Stanford team ahead of the official regular season starting in January. What has you excited about this weekend?
I'm honestly really excited to see everyone. My team playing together is really exciting, but also just to see national team members. And I'm also pretty sure that I saw that they were honoring a past Olympic team, which is another super exciting thing. I'm really got to talk to Brenda about it a little bit ago, and she's excited. So I'm definitely pumped to see, like the history of women's water polo and hopefully a lot of the future of women's water polo in the stands. So I think there's so many great things that are going to come out of this weekend.
Yeah, Legacy Crown, aptly named. This is the 25-year anniversary of the Sydney Olympics, the first to offer women's water polo. That's the team that'll be on hand. A lot of those women coming back, including Brenda, one of your coaches now at Stanford. You are somewhat new to Team USA. If you think back to those women right in 2000, did you have a sense of kind of the legacy of the program? If you think back to when you were kind of climbing the ranks from like junior to senior team, what was in your mind about like the history of the team that you were joining?
That's a good question. I feel like the history was just so centered around taking like this pressure that they like had put on themselves, especially like going into their first Olympic win, and then being able to just use that to motivate themselves. And I feel like that was just the reputation they had, and they upheld for so long, and just like their will and motivation to win has always been like something that has been so central to women's water polo and like the history of the US national team for me. So I feel like something that I always thought about and heard a lot growing up is about how pressure is a privilege. And that's something I feel like I still find myself saying so often is like when you come from such like elite programs, like all the schools, thankfully for water polo, are really, really amazing schools. It provides a certain amount of pressure, and you have to be able to like instead of like crack under the pressure, see how you can grow and use that to the best of your ability. And I feel like that is something that the USA Women's Water Polo team has done throughout history.
Speaking of pressure, we're talking to Jenna. She's in an academic building right now at Stanford, in between classes, right? So that's why we're not outside by the pool. There's the pressure of school and of course of sport. There's a great photo. I want to say you're obviously maybe 13 or 14. I'm not sure your age. It's you and Rachel Fatal, I think, at an event when you were younger. Was that the player that you looked up to? Was there someone that you looked up to that you said, I want to be like this player if I can?
I think the photo that I think you're talking about, I was 10.
10.
And
Okay,
that
I
was
was
my
way
very
off. So,
first,
yep.
no, just because I remember this day very clearly. And it was my first national team training. And we went to the announcement of the 2016 Olympic roster. And so I had my notebook and I was like, had all their signatures on my notebook. I still have the notebook. Right. But to your question, Rachel has been a huge inspiration for me. She's someone, and especially after training with her and playing with her, she continues to be a huge inspiration to me. It's someone who I can always look at and know she's putting 110% effort at all moments of every day. It is honestly really amazing. I really don't know how she does it. She has like the most insane competitive energy and drive. And then obviously knows what she's doing in there, and it's something that's like really amazing to see. And I feel like someone who doesn't usually get a lot of props, but
Mhm.
she does the dirty work, and that's really hard to do really consistently. And that's like the name of the game for Rachel's consistency, and it's something that is super important when it comes to professional sports. And so she's definitely been a huge inspiration to me and a good friend, which is weird to say when if I was to look back at that photo.
Yeah, that's has to be a bit surreal, right? How important is it? And this is kind of a two-part question because I'm confident there's someone that now watches Jenna Flynn as a 10-year-old and is like, I would love to play like her. But first, backing up, you being 10, 11 years old, getting a chance to meet these women, how critical was that in kind of fostering your dream to become a better water polo player?
Oh, it was huge. And I definitely didn't know it at the time, but looking back, I obviously loved the sport and had so much fun meeting new people and meeting people not just from my area but from Southern California. Like that was a great time. But once I was there and I saw them wearing all of the like their matching clothes that go into the Olympics, like that was a huge moment for me to realize that I wanted to be standing up there and I want to be on that team. Like and the rest of the team was there as well. People who unfortunately didn't make it that year, but they were there supporting, like talking to like the bond within the team and just the way they've showed up for each other. Like that was something that I saw and I felt like I really really wanted. And it's honestly it's really cool to feel like I can point to the moment that made me feel like I knew what I wanted to do, but I'm super grateful for it.
I've always loved those events. The one you're talking about, I want to say, was at the LA 84 Foundation, where we did that a couple of times
Mm-hmm.
to introduce the team. You then got your experience in LA in 2024 at a French themed restaurant to be introduced as
Yes.
an Olympian for Paris. So, what was it like to be a kid watching that and then to be there and have your own day where you get introduced and do the interviews and do the whole thing?
Yeah. That was super weird. I'll say it. I just felt like up until that moment, as an athlete, you are so focused on performance and what's going on in the day, like what practice is coming up next, that a part of me kind of feels like I kind of like let that part slip by just because I felt so focused on what was ahead. But even with that said, like it was incredible to be able to celebrate with my team. See you, Greg, of course. Um,
The least important part of
it's
your day, but yes.
no, not at all, not at all. Um, I again, like I feel like it's the team aspect that always brings me back is like being able to celebrate with my teammates, and again, like um, a lot of those people being people I looked up to. Like I mentioned Rachel earlier, but like all of those returners were mentors and idols of mine growing up. So it was really surreal to be standing there with them.
We're talking here with Jenna Flynn, Olympian, NCAA champ at Stanford, ahead of the Legacy Crown this weekend in Costa Mesa. Legacy, obviously, a big theme this week. So, when you get a chance to sign an autograph for a little boy or girl that loves the way that you play, what's something that you're trying to share with them? Maybe Rachel told you something when you were 10. What's a tip or something that you're passing down to kind of foster this legacy continuing for water polo?
Okay, I think I have two things that I think
Sure.
about when you say that. One, what I heard recently, this past like year from Maggie Steffens, and I feel like this is really applicable to people who are playing water polo and just like getting into it, trying to find their footing. And something she said to me while training was like knowing when it's time to step into the light. And and I know that a lot of people who come up to me are pretty young, but I still feel like that's super important because as you're getting into the sport, it's really hard and you don't feel as confident in what you're doing. And yeah, you're having fun and a lot of things are going on, but once you get that, once you have that moment and you realize that you want to go further and go to play water polo in college or try out for the Olympics, that's when it becomes important to understand when it's time for you to like take make some strides and step into the light and like showcase yourself. And that is it's really difficult, especially at a young age, but I think that's something that will be huge, especially in women's water polo, because we're still growing and that's really important for the growth of our sport. And the second thing for maybe the younger kids is just is have fun. And I know you're like, okay, of course have fun,
Yeah.
but like again, that's what keeps you coming back. And when you make friends and you get to travel and make these memories and like stay in the hotel together, like those are the parts that I remember from my age group. Water polo is just like the little moments with the team. And if you don't find those or you don't feel like you're getting the most of that, like it's harder to come back. And again, like it's about getting people to the pool and watching and playing. And I think that that's just always important for me as well, for everyone.
You have a big water polo legacy just within your own family, right? Four girls, three play water polo at a pretty high level. Curious, what maybe you learned about this from your older sister, and then Nina, right? And then what do you try to pass
Yes.
down to your younger sister from a water polo perspective?
Okay, this is a hard one. I think The number one thing my sister Nina taught me was I just feel like her competitive edge that she brought was really inspiring. And like, I guess it's not something that she'll like verbally teach me, but like when we had 1 year of high school together, so we would play against each other, practice. Like that energy she brought to every shot, every play, offensive, defensive possession was something that I felt like I had to learn growing up just because I was a little, I don't know, like I wasn't naturally a super aggressive person. Um, and that doesn't really lend itself well to water polo. And sometimes you have to know when it's time to step things up. And I think that she was huge in that for me because she was super explosive, super powerful. And that was a big lesson that I had to learn. But I mean, I started playing because she was playing. So you could argue that, oh my, I learned everything from her. And then my younger sister, I think what I try to tell her is not to let anyone put her in a box. And because of where grew up, water polo is small. And I feel like it gives you the opportunity to be creative and just see where you can fit in all or any areas of the game. And then once you kind of get older, things get to be a little bit more structured. And that's not a bad thing by any means. But I just try to tell her not to let anyone tell her what she can and cannot do because realistically she's grown up and been should be told that she can do anything, obviously, but like especially in the water polo arena because she's grown up and doing it already.
Makes sense. Good stuff there. Excited to see where all three of you go when it comes to water polo. Stanford, regular season coming up here in January. This has become a program now a bit like Team USA in that when they have their season in the case of college water polo or your tournament for Team USA, there's an expectation to be in the championship and to win it. We talked about pressure a bit earlier. How do you deal with that? You go into a season and if Stanford doesn't win the title, everyone's like, what? Like, what happened? And it's the same at USC, UCLA, right? Cal, these teams expect to compete and win. How do you and the team deal with those large expectations every year?
Yeah, I think it's different every year and it's equally difficult. I think that our biggest thing is just taking it one day at a time and one I guess phase of the season at a time. There's no use in getting too up about it in the fall, and of course it's good to have in the back of your mind and just know what your end goal is. And I think that's something that we do a lot of is just making sure that everyone's on the same page and knows what our path is and what we're aiming for. But I think what I appreciate most is that we do take it kind of one step at a time, and we always make sure that we know that like we know our history, we know like a lot of these teams because like you said, like a lot of people are going to be gunning for us because we have won and we have success in the past, and using that and just like always having a chip on our shoulder is the way we can just hold each other accountable for how we are playing and just like make sure that we're not being complacent at any time in the season. But those little things and keeping that up is like what makes practice and season more fun anyway, because you just have that constant competitive energy and really well executed water polo at the end of the day.
Who's the person on the Stanford team that kind of keeps things light, like when the pressure is high? Is there someone who's pretty funny or keeps it loose?
I mean, I think that we all do a pretty good job of that. I feel like not that I'm definitely not the lightener of all moods, but I definitely appreciate a good laugh in a serious moment. I feel like that is something that is super recentering for me, just perspective to know that I've been playing this game for a long time. And at the end of the day, this is a game, and yeah, it's a huge part of my life, but it doesn't define me or my life. And so that's something that that's really important to me. But there's a lot of people around and everyone's here to support one another. We do our best to get to know each other's pre-game and game routines to know who maybe you shouldn't joke around with and who will kind of reciprocate that energy. So I definitely couldn't point to one person. I think it's a huge team effort.
think that was in the World Series. I don't know if it was Max Scherzer. There was a pitcher where it was like, do not, when he has the start, you cannot speak to him from when he gets to the
Mhm.
locker room till the game, until he's pulled out of the game. They're
Yeah.
just people that are dialed in. You score your fair share of goals. What's a Jenna Flynn goal celebration? Is there a
Oh,
go-to?
oh,
Do you do a classic fist pump, or is it just
I,
like act like you've been there
you know,
before?
I like to keep it cool and nonchalant and have a nice swim back to the line. Um, on the line, I love to just again interact with my teammates, high five here and there. Obviously, you practice so much. If you score a goal that your team knows you've been working on, it feels extra special because you get to look around and see everyone so excited for you that what you've been working on for the past like month what actually went in. And so
Yeah.
that's definitely exciting. And like when there's people there, you have your family in the stands, like getting to see them. Yeah, that's more of my celebration than
Should
a
there
fist
should
bump.
there be more celebration after goals? Would you like? I mean, maybe it's not your thing, but should we
Uh,
see people like get
I
more
you know
excited after
I
a big goal?
I will say like I'm not one for like the huge splashes,
Yep.
but like I think a nice fist bump is good and is really connecting for the team because like especially in tight games you need to get momentum and try to keep that momentum. And I feel like celebrations like that, whether it's not even a goal, if it's a shot block or like a goalie block, like that stuff is huge. And being able to like have a few seconds and, you know, gather that energy would be would be big, but it's not really in the women's game as much as it is in the men's game. But I,
Maybe
I
I don't know.
wouldn't, I
Something
wouldn't,
you could start. There's
I,
time. If that's something you want to just slowly work in, no
yes.
pressure.
Yeah, maybe,
There's enough
maybe.
pressure on you. Jenna Flynn, thanks for the time as always. Look forward to seeing you in the Cardinal this weekend, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.